Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Canadian jazz trombonist Craig Brenan. We caught up with him to talk about his 2024 CD, Valley of Silence, done with his brother known as the Brenan Brothers. So the 10-year-old twins, Jim and Craig, were standing nervously in the doorway at the Palms Cafe in Edmonton on a warm summer night in 1979. Their dad had taken them to their first concert featuring the instruments that they were hoping to play when they would enter junior high in the fall. The band was trumpet legend Woody Shaw's quintet, and this duo has gone on to perform with the likes of Maynard Ferguson, Randy Brecker, Slide Hampton, and so many others. They've established an iron-clad reputation as a pair of dynamic and accomplished musicians, always seeking new musical challenges that push them to the creative limits. We get into all of this and more. Dig in.
It's great to catch up with you. I'm looking forward to getting into the Brenan Brothers, the Valley of Silence. But before we do that, I want to know, living through COVID, kind of on the 4-year anniversary, so to speak, going through that time period, how did you get through that time period, and how did it change you?
During COVID, and this will be the same for my brother, too. We're very industrious, and we're pretty... we don't like to sit still very long. So during COVID, I have a family, I have kids and things, and my wife, and we're all pretty good workers. So I actually dug in pretty deep, and I started a transcription project for musically. This is how I got through COVID musically. And I'm actually working on a different project, right, a separate project. But during COVID, I also recorded three albums and wrote a ton of music. I get commissioned for writing big band charts often. I've also been recording other people's music, remote recording in my little home studio. So I wouldn't want it to be said that COVID was amazing for me, but it was this really great, fertile time for me to really dig into the musical things that I hadn't been doing because I have a job and I work as an educator and I have other demands during the day.
So talk to me a little bit about this newest album, Valley of Silence. What were the kind of the artistic forces and the vision that went into this?
Yeah, my brother and I have a twin brother, and we perform together often, and we've done some Jazz Crusaders things, and we have another album that we've done quite a while ago, actually, and we both have our own careers, and we were talking, and we realized that, it's something, we should probably put something out. We really like playing with each other. Of course, when you're a twin, there's a pretty deep connection, and we were both talking about sort of our early music experiences. We both kind of have this fascination with, I'll call it the forgotten decade of jazz. The 70s jazz was maybe at a low point, and what I like about the 70s is that these classic musicians, Joe Henderson, Woody Shaw, to name a few, were still doing it. They were touring, they were working on their music, and they were creating. And both Jim and I, when we were 10 years old, thought we were going to get ready to take band in school. And we were kind of we knew about the trumpet and we knew some instruments. My dad saw in the newspaper that there was this, famous jazz musician was playing in our city, so he took us to see Woody Shaw play. That was our first live concert when we were 10. And it really made an impact on both of us, just like what jazz is and what, he's a very fiery and passionate and powerful player, and, took a lot of risk and some chances, and, really, I'd say he's really going for it on the bandstand. And I don't really remember much about the music, but I do remember a lot about the vibe of the room and the excitement and the energy. And that's kind of always stuck with both of us. So that's kind of what sort of the genesis for this project. We both like to play in that kind of environment where the stakes are kind of high and we're taking risks and people are really searching and trying new things on stage and so on. So this album is loosely focused on Woody Shaw, we Rosewood and Deeper Maxine. And the 49th Parallel is actually a song that he recorded when he was in Canada with Neil Swainson, kind of a well-known Canadian jazz album.
So have you and your brother, Jim, have you guys been close your whole life, always kind of collaborated on things?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're twins. I mean, I don't know if you know any twins. It's generally a love-hate relationship. We both are in music. We're both professors of music. We both put out our own albums. We both are working on composition, and we have a lot of similarities. And of course, we'll both tell you that we're very different, and we are very different. But we have been solid collaborators our whole lives, absolutely. Certainly musically, it's just so easy to play. The tuning, the feel, the style, I mean, it all just locks in. It's effortless.
So on this new album, Valley of Silence, what are you guys hoping the listener gets from this album?
That's a great question. No, I really just obviously I want people just to enjoy the music, but it's also to kind of unearth some of these songs that are not necessarily forgotten, but not really performed very much. Like Rosewood, Fly with the Wind, 49th Parallel. These are all great, almost anthems from the 70s. I mean, at least performed during the 70s. And then, of course, there's some originals on here. We're both working on, trying to find our own voices as composers. And then there's arrangements on here too. Like kind of an outlier on this record is the Beatles' classic Blackbird. But again, it's one of my earliest. I arranged that piece, and it's one of my earliest musical memories is being in my basement, listening, playing my aunt's Beatles albums and kind of exploring, the sonic universe that is the Beatles. So it's part of who we are, and I'd like I'd like people to realize that, jazz is, this type of jazz, is not dead, really. In Canada, it's four horns, and there's arrangements, and there's energy on the stage, and we really want to take people on a little bit of a journey through that.
So how did you land on the trombone? How did that become your instrument?
Oh, man. It's a little bit of a story. So in Canada here, band starts at grade 7. I guess we call it 7th grade in the States. Both Jim and I did our master's degrees in the States, so that's a different story. So as we were walking, we took the bus to school, and we're walking to school. We went to a brand new school. We didn't know anybody. It was outside of our district. And my brother Jim was like, I'm going to play the drums in band. And I'm like, great, no problem, because I'm going to play the saxophone. I was really into, I don't know if you remember the show Happy Days. Anyways, I love the show. Richie Cunningham played the saxophone. This is how much I knew, or how much I didn't know about music. So I'm like, yeah, saxophone was cool. So we agree, it's all good, it's super great. And I'm like, everybody's happy. We go to band class, our band teacher says, hey, no one's going to play the sax. Wait a minute, sorry. What is it? He just said, no one's going to play the drums. You have to play a wind instrument first. And I wasn't really paying attention because I didn't care about the drums. But he was paying attention. So he immediately in his mind, he switched to the saxophone without telling me. So the band teacher goes, who wants to play the flute? And people raise their hand, clarinet, all that stuff. He gets the saxophone, and my brother, who's sitting next to me, immediately raises his hand like a lightning in the air. And I'm looking at him like, well, I don't want to play the same instrument as my brother. That's a disaster. And I had an older brother that played the trumpet, and I was next. So I'm like, well, I don't want to play the trumpet. My older brother plays the trumpet. And then I was looking at the instruments, it was like trombone and tuba. I'm like, well, there's no chance to play the tuba. So I put my hand up for the trombone. That's literally how the decision was made. And surprisingly to me, as soon as I picked up the trombone, it was just kind of a natural fit. It felt great. Could make a sound. Everything kind of worked.
So who's been kind of an inspiration for you on that instrument or in general in jazz that you've looked up to or kind of emulated, so to speak?
Well, I've been really fortunate to have worked with some of the greatest jazz trombonists. I've worked with Slide Hampton. I've worked with Curtis Fuller. I got a lesson with J.J. Johnson, Jigs Wiggum. I've been around a lot of those names and a lot of those people really, really inspirational, Steve Davis and so on. But my favorite, hands down, is Hal Cook, who taught at Berkeley for years. And I mean, from a technical trumpet, musical, everything about Hal Cook is unbelievable to me. My first trombone experience, though, was Rob McConnell. And he put out a duet album with Ed Bickert called Mutual Street. And my brother, Jim, gave it to me for Christmas, and I think it was in grade 8. And he gave it to me because there's a trombone on the cover. And it's been, it was kind of the thing that got me like, oh, trombone's okay. And then, of course, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, I got into them, and Curtis Fuller. And, I'm kind of a trombone nerd. Like, I've got albums from all the trombonists, and it's really a deep passion of mine.
So talk to me a little bit about what is it that you look forward to the most being a professional musician? There's so many aspects that go into it, but what really gets you up every day? What motivates you to do this work you do?
You know what? It's just if you could just say that one more time, it's just a little bit muffled. What gets me motivated about the arts? Was that the question?
No. What motivates you the most about being a musician? What do you like the best about being a professional musician?
Oh, I'm in a very enviable position where it's really about making art for me. I get to do the music that I want to do. I'm a professor at a university, so I have those responsibilities. But it also means I don't have to take everything that comes my way, so I get to be a little choosy. So I really get to explore the creative side of myself, and I get to go down any tangent I like. I get to explore any concept I want. There's really no barriers, and that's really what gets me up in the morning. It gets me practicing the trombone. Like I practice every day. I'm into routine, and there's something about the sound of it. And as I get older, I'm more interested in sound and so tonality. These are the things that I'm blessed with being able to have the time and the ability to really just focus on those things. I mean, I do casual gigs and pickup gigs and do all those types of things as well, but I can actually be a little fussy if I want to, and the job helps me with that, and also it really serves my artistic creative output.
You had kind of mentioned that this album was emulating an era in the 70s that, jazz was in transition. It was just a different era for jazz. If we go right now to modern day, what's your thought on the strength of jazz in 2024?
Wow. Right now, jazz, we're like sort of the highest technical ability of musicians. Like hands down, drummers, saxophone, bass, everybody. And also right now, what's happening that I see is that not only are the musicians incredibly technically advanced, but they're also harmonically advanced. They're everybody that I'm checking out that's new or is making music right now. It's like they're not just performers anymore. They're composers, they're arrangers, they're producers. They're sort of crossing a bunch of invisible barriers that may have existed. I'm not certain in the 70s. Like Joe Henderson was a great composer, but really known as a performer. I mean, nowadays you have to wear so many hats, and the musicians today are so skilled at all these different things. And not to mention they're like social media content creators, and they're giving lessons online and sharing all this information. And it's just it's incredible, actually.
So at the end of the day, why do you love jazz?
I love jazz. It's that energy. It's not locked into a form. It's so many different things. Like I have a project of albums. It's not this project, but it's like duets and trios. I've been allowed and fortunate enough to make albums with electronics, and I've traveled the world as a jazz musician. I did a project in Germany last year with Florian Ross, a collaborator of mine. I find that jazz is so wide open and accepting and really kind of absorbs the current times, so to speak, not just artistically, but socially, musically. It's very flexible, and it doesn't have to be static. I'm sure, yes, they're the beboppers and the trad jazz guys, but it can be all those things and modern at the same time. That's what really attracts me to this art form.
So let's say you have the opportunity to get into a time machine go back in time in the history of jazz and see one show live, where are you going to go? What would you love to see?
Ooh, one show live. I guess Ellington at Newport. There's something about that show that just, it changed the trajectory of Ellington, reignited it. Man, wouldn't you want to be there? Maybe you were there. I don't know. You at that show?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, that would be. I would have to go on a string of stops, but that would be a beautiful stop.
That's right. Yeah, there'd be more content. I mean, Miles Davis, Black Hawk. That would be an incredible thing to see, and there's some Art Blakey things. I'm a big Art Blakey fan. I mean, it's so hard to pare it down, but those things would be amazing. I did have a friend go to New York before Art Blakey passed, and go into the club and hold the phone up and call me because I'd never seen Art Blakey live. So I guess I have a little bit of that, but yeah, there's so many that I missed. But those would be great shows
for sure. So, what are you doing? The album was released last week. What are you doing for live shows and promotion?
Yes, we had a live show, but we had to cancel. We had a COVID situation. So now we are releasing, we're doing our live shows during the jazz festivals up here. So there's a festival in Edmonton in late June, and a festival in Calgary, the city below us, in late June. So we're just going to take the band. All the members of the guys are coming out. Our piano player's from Connecticut. He's coming out. He's a friend of ours, originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba. So we're going to do a couple of those dates, and we're actually, hopefully, going to record a part 2 to this. But that's to be seen.
Beautiful. So if anyone wants to properly find out about any touring, pick up a physical copy of the album, any of the good business, where's the best place to go?
Well, of course, it's on the streaming site. The album is on CD Baby if you want to get a physical copy. You can reach out to me at my website. You might have the information, but it's www.craigbrennan.com. There's a one N in the middle of our last name, kind of a different spelling than the traditional Irish spelling. Those are the best places. You reach out to me. You can find me online. I'm more than happy to share the music.
Perfect, Craig. This has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything.
Sure, thanks. I want to get to Kansas. I want some barbecue. That's my dream.
Yeah.
Gotta have some barbecue, man. We grill up here, but man, there's something about it. That's the dream. Just so you know, I envy you so much.
Well, you're going to get there. I have no doubt.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Canada, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Craig for his time, energy, and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends. Hey Jazz fans, Joe Domino here, the host of the weekly Neon Jazz radio show and regular interview series being produced and distributed from Lee Summit, Missouri. We are quite excited to let you know about the first annual Lee Summit Jazz Fest taking place this summer on June 22nd, 2024 at the Bridge Space located at 210 Southwest Market Street. There will be 8 robust acts, including the Back Alley Brass Band and the great Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. There will also be art vendors and food trucks to make this a must-attend event. All details can be found at www.bridgespace.us/jazz. We will see you there.
Neon Jazz.